Yes.
All right, I am Susie Dotson, Executive Director of WIND Youth Services. I've been at WIND 2 years as of yesterday, and if you've heard of WIND, forget about what you heard, because we're different and we're new.
And I'm Sarah Mullins, the Director of Development, and I will be almost having my 2-year anniversary in a few more weeks. So, yeah, like Susie said, WIND is probably not what you knew of WIND, at least if you knew of WIND more than 2 years ago. We have been through a really, really exciting kind of rebirth, almost. Rebuild, yeah, in the last few years, and it has started from the ground up. And if you want to share a little bit more about what that's looked like for us.
So I think when I came to WIND, what really stuck out to me was that we were not really, we said we were serving youth who were experiencing homelessness, but we weren't really finding those youth, and we weren't really doing a really good job of kind of wrapping those youth up in what we do. And so I quickly realized that we really needed to strengthen a lot of things about our programs. And one of those things was integrating mental health into all of our programs, and strengthening our shelter programs, and strengthening our drop-in center programs. So every single one of our programs now has mental health infused into the program. Our mental health workers actually work in our programs. So there's kind of this constant eye on mental health, and that has really changed the way WIND looks. Another thing that we did is that we have moved to a more central location so that youth can get to us. We kept hearing over and over from the youth that we serve that we were out in Del Paso Heights and you're too far away, we can't get to you, we don't want to come to Del Paso Heights, it's too far. And so we moved to a Midtown location, but we'll share with you a little bit about, this is a temporary location, and we'll share with you a little about where we're headed.
So our mission, as you can read, is to provide supportive services for youth and opportunities for youth experiencing homelessness as they pursue self-determined lives of stability and independence. Our approach to serving youth is youth-centered. We are extremely individualized. You will never hear of a prescription for whatever a youth may be dealing with in that very moment. We take a harm reduction approach to everything that we do, which means that we don't dictate how somebody's life should look. We encourage healthy choices, we encourage positive choices, and we help youth uncover what that means for them and how they can best achieve that for themselves.
We find that really works with youth, because youth will tend to, any of you who have teenagers who have even been a teenager, you probably remember that you were maybe a little defiant and you maybe didn't want to follow authority. And so if we dictate to youth what to do, that's just another authority figure telling them what to do. And if we kind of approach them in a way of what makes sense to you, we find that they often make really good choices on their own. So it's worked out really well.
So what do we do at WIND? We have 6 main programs. You can see, and it really, I think one thing that we've worked incredibly hard on over this past 2 years is being able to create a solid continuum of services for homeless youth, so that they can enter into any one of our programs and continue making progress and continue working with their case manager and their counselor as they move through their own personal progress. They're moving through WIND programs as well. The first point of contact is generally through our street outreach program. We have a team of street outreach staff that are literally on the streets, meeting our youth, taking out basic supplies, clean clothes, new clothes, warm clothes, sack lunches, hygiene items, first aid kits, providing a lot of crisis intervention on the street. And I think the biggest and most important job of our street outreach team is that they're that front line for WIND. They're the ones that are meeting youth where they're at. They're forming those trusting, positive relationships and really building the rapport so that youth will come in and continue to access services and any number of our other programs. Street outreach generally leads them to our drop-in center, And we're going to share more about our drop-in center in a few minutes because that's specifically what our grant was written about. But our drop-in center is a daytime respite, safety from the streets. It's a safe place to be. It's comfortable, it's welcoming, it's completely inclusive. We serve 2 meals a day. Youth have access to a number of different supportive services. But mostly it's just a safe place for them to be off the streets where they're getting the support that they need. Case management is worked into all of our programs, so all of our youth can work with a case manager. Things as basic as, getting your ID card, a copy of your birth certificate, all the way through stable housing and then into education and employment. Our counseling program, like Susie shared, is integrated in everything that we do. Mental health is a huge component and incredibly important to all of our services. We have a full service counseling department on site at our drop-in center, and then we have counselors on staff in our satellite locations. We provide the area's only emergency shelter. So we have 2 shelters. One is for youth that are 12 to 17, that's our adolescent shelter. And then our second shelter is for youth that are 18 to 24. And that is the only emergency shelter in Sacramento that exists for youth. Each shelter has 6 beds. So there are a total of 12 emergency shelter beds in Sacramento for youth that are experiencing homelessness. These aren't youth that are just maybe don't want to hang out with their parents or for whatever reason. I mean, these are youth that are otherwise spending their night on the streets, in an alley. Possibly you probably run into them every now and then. And then our newest program is our permanent supportive housing. We just recently, in October actually, moved 13 youth into their very first apartment and are providing ongoing supportive services for them as they really gain their footing and are able to continue into adulthood. And then coming soon is a transformational living program. That will be a long-term shelter program where youth can stay up to 2 years while they're working on finishing education or reaching employment goals, where they're really stable, in a stable place. They have those supportive services, and it gives them the opportunity to really kind of solidify where they're at in life so they can move on to be self-sufficient. And not that any of us are fully ever self-sufficient, but be able to be in a better position to continue to take care of themselves and really feel productive. Do you want to?
The most important thing I think about this transformational living program is that it's kind of similar to a dorm model. So I always think, I have a 19 and a 21-year-old, and over Christmas break they had 4 different crises. Because they're 19 to 21, and so this is really giving kids that don't have parents that will answer the phone when they call up for their crises an opportunity to have support and get through that really, really hard period of your life when you need support. You just need help, and sometimes that's financial, and sometimes it's just a shoulder to cry on.
And the transformational living is geared towards adults.
It's 18 to 24-year-olds, yeah.
Which is not really an adult, because really who felt like they were ready to take on the world at 18?
Some of us.
Some of us, I guess.
But we may have been a little.
So a little bit more about our drop-in center. I'm going to share a little more.
So, you're like, 'cause I've been talking.
Yeah.
So our drop-in center right now is located at 18th and J Street. We're on the 3rd floor of a building that you're all probably familiar with. We average about 1,000 visits a month. We serve 250 unduplicated youth each month. That's an average number. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. We do have a health clinic on site, and that health clinic is staffed by volunteer RNs from Sac State. And so these registered nurses are people who are getting their bachelor's in nursing. So they're already registered nurses, but they're going back to school to get their bachelor's degree. And so they staff a health clinic, and they staff it 16 hours a week. Yeah, 16 hours a week. So it's pretty neat, and we had 117 visits, and that's just in.
We would love to have more medical. We would love to be able to have stronger connections with more people that are willing to donate, 4 hours a week as an RN or something. you know, an attorney that would be willing to come in a couple hours a month and do a legal, you know, and give some legal advice for some of our youth. We have a lot of youth that are just dealing with like the most minor legal infractions that continue to just compound on each other because if you don't take care of a parking, you know, not a parking ticket, but when you don't take care of an RT ticket, then it becomes a bench warrant, which becomes a really big life problem. So even just being able to help, you know, provide some support through whatever your unique skills are, bringing those to the drop-in center. And then,
Exciting thing.
yeah, the really exciting thing. This is yours.
Oh, you want me to go? So we are in the process of looking for a new dream center. We're going to call it a dream campus. It's not going to be a drop-in center. We know that we still need the crisis services, and that's something that we know that we're going to have to do. But we're going to solve youth homelessness. Youth homelessness is going to be solved in the next few years. It really is. Not we, we as a community. It really is. And so we know that as we do that, we're going to need to really kind of shift, and we're going to need to start thinking about not just crisis management, but what do we do? How do we keep youth from becoming homeless? And how do we kind of shift our program model to really think about supporting youth so that that doesn't happen? And so our Dream Center is about education, it's about employment, it's about connecting with youth so that they don't become homeless. We may have youth that walk in and say, I don't have anywhere to sleep tonight, but we're going to be able to say, we've got a place for you to sleep tonight, and now we're going to help you stay there, and we're going to help you stay safe, and we're going to make sure that this never happens to you again. So we know we're going to stay in the downtown core area. We've got some kind of edges where we won't go past because we know that the youth need us in the downtown area. But we really are going to make this a dream campus. It's not going to be a big, ugly social service building. It's going to be a beautiful building with art and greenery, and it's not going to have homeless people surrounding it. It's not going to have trash. It's going to be a beautiful place where people want to come and people want to engage in services, and also the community wants to come and volunteer.
And we want you to be a part of that. This is the most exciting thing that WIN's ever done in our very long history, and there's this amazing opportunity to do that with us and be a part of really this amazing transformation for the way that homeless youth in our city are served. And it's so exciting.
It's really exciting for us.
The last thing that I wanted to do, and I hope this works before we open to questions, is I just have a quick video. I'm really not technologically advanced, so I hope
we can get, you can do it.
Do that.
Oh, but it's sideways. Everybody turn your head.
Oh, is there a volume all the way up?
Is this it?
No, it's easier.
Okay.
Can you turn it? Right here.
I don't think that.
No?
No, it won't turn.
Turn the camera sideways.
A little bit more next to the stop. Is that
Yeah, is that,
right?
or
No,
that?
that
Where Matt's pointing.
That's
That's
what
what
we
you
need.
Yeah.
Turn the camera sideways. See, I'm an engineer.
It's a little late for that. Yeah, we should have thought of that before.
Okay, maybe
Well,
you can replay it so we get this.
Yes,
Yeah.
the messaging is the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Katie. I've been a youth here at the Wind Center for about 7 months. I've been homeless for about a year. I was struggling really, really hard before I found the Wind Center. There's so many wonderful people here, my youth advocate Sherry, outreach workers like Aaron and Nikki. They've done so much for me. They've helped me get my ID, social security card, my birth certificate.
So we took that today, and Katie is actually leaving at 6 a.m. tomorrow to go back to Washington to live with her grandparents. And it was, like she said, it's been 7 months of working with her. She's has a pretty strong addiction issue, and so getting her to agree to get on a plane tomorrow morning, it was a huge, and if I almost wanted to videotape the goodbye that we had right before we came here, because it was just Gwen's staff hugging her and her hugging and just telling us that, you know, we saved her life. And we definitely think that she did most of it going, whoa! All right. Questions?
Yeah.
Tell us about your project that you're coming with the new center. Do you have money? Do you have plans? Do you have, I mean,
Yeah.
A lot of that. A lot of that. So we are definitely in the beginning stages of it. So we have identified a possible property. We still own our property in Del Paso Heights, and we're in the process of selling that. So as that sells, and then we've got some capital, I've also been talking with city council people, with county supervisors, with some big foundations. And so we're really working on creating kind of a public-private partnership to help fund that.
Did that answer your question?
Or that, yeah.
yeah. But I think the next question is, can you tell us more about what exactly you would use our,
So, yeah, for this specific, the $10,000
Yeah.
grant and the volunteer in-kind service, how do you propose to use that?
Yeah, so the specific request would be used to actually make over our drop-in center, and
What center?
our drop-in center, yeah. Right now, our drop-in center is very, it's very pieced together. Everything is very hodgepodge. It's a warm and inviting and loving space because of the way that our staff are with our youth, but the environment itself is not reflective of that. And regardless of the building that we're in, we want to have a space that reflects the vibe of Wind. And as you, I don't know if you, I can go back to the PowerPoint.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you, like, some of these, let's see. Where do I?
One more.
Feels right.
Sorry.
From
Right
Kurt's
there.
side.
Thank you.
It's hard to do it that direction.
It is. The walls are very kind of plain and dreary. The furniture is all really kind of older and starting to break down. And we just want a space that is really reflective of Wind and the youth that we serve. We would love to be able to bring in a muralist to kind of provide some art on the walls. And all of this is something that we're wanting to do. Like the muralist, what?
we have a mural.
Oh, that's incredible.
An amazing muralist.
That's perfect. Our thought was to have that done on either large canvases or large like plywood that can be transferred to wherever we go. This isn't a project that we want to necessarily wait until we're in our new buildings. We recognize that could be, a year or more from now. But our youth deserve a space that is fit for a youth. I mean, we want them to have a really cool, really awesome space, probably the same thing that you wanted for your teenage kids. That's what we want for our kids. And all of that stuff would be, things that we would integrate into our new location as well. And I think then the volunteer and the in-kind could come into play in a lot of different ways. Like the muralist obviously would be an incredible opportunity. But I think too it goes a lot further in that there are going to be some significant construction projects that can take place at our new location that would be really easy to integrate with some of the chamber partners. We currently have our 2 properties that house our shelters right now. There are there's lots of ways that we can integrate some of that support in there as well. And I think too, as we move forward in this project, being able to have the support from the chamber and members to help us with things like the actual design and layout, not interior design, I don't even know what you call it, but like
Architecture?
space planning, yes, thank you.
What's it called? What do you-
Space planning.
Space planning, yes.
That was great, yeah.
We're in a good space for that.
The engineer, remember?
Yeah.
Very weird architect.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely something we struggled with when we had this space even. We were
Yeah.
like, how are we gonna make this space work? And I think we made some mistakes,
Yeah.
quite honestly. Like, as we look back and we try to, I mean, we've got a new
We've
hire
changed
coming on,
things.
right? And, you know, it's like, now we're sharing offices and we've got a lot of space issues.
Yeah, and
So having somebody who is professional in that might help us a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, and I apologize, I just want to
Yeah.
be clear, so this is the space that needs renovating?
this is the space that we're in right now.
Yes.
Okay, and so what is it, where are you looking to put the emphasis? In this space?
Yeah,
Or, okay.
Yes.
And this space is, J and 17? 18?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the emphasis would be in items that will, not in the building itself.
Right.
Because we know we're not gonna be in that building forever, so we do not wanna invest in that
Okay.
building. We wanna invest in creating a space within the walls that are what our youth and clients deserve. New furniture, the mural, helping
Plants.
plants, helping to refurnish our kitchen so that we are better equipped to be able to provide the meals that we do. A new computers and, a kind of higher technology that youth have access to is going to, of course, support their educational and employment endeavors, things like that.
So things that will also then transport to your future location.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the investment would absolutely not be wasted because we know that this is a temporary building. Everything that we do to it will be something that's easily transferred and will be taken with us.
And this is the drop-in center, so this is not
Yeah.
the beds are
No.
somewhere else?
Yes. Yeah, our shelters are in a duplexes over in Rosemont off of like La Riviera and Folsom Boulevard area. Yeah,
They're in a neighborhood.
yeah.
Okay.
So, are you aware that the Sacramento Food Bank has like a clothing, more than a clothing?
We had a youth the other day that was like, yeah, okay, that's great, but where am I gonna sleep tonight? And we just had to say, our shelter has 100 youth on the waiting list. So it's, there's not enough beds. So,
How do you, just generally, how does WIND get funding? Do you have county contracts for some of your shelter services? And then in addition, how are you funding?
Yeah.
so 30%?
Yeah.
30% is fundraising, and the rest is a medley of contracts. We do have a HUD contract for our permanent supportive housing program. That's a recent one. We've got some county funding for our older youth shelter. We have a federal contract for our younger youth shelter. The federal government is really actually kind of progressive when it comes to runaway and homeless youth, and there's some funding out there for youth. And then foundations and that kind of stuff makes up the rest of it. We are working on a county mental health grant. We've had a respite grant and through some innovation dollars, and now we're about to move that into a more traditional mental health funding through the county. But it's a medley.
And it's all in Sacramento County, you don't have any outreach or outside of Sacramento, west side?
Not really. I mean, I will tell you, and I'll just be quite honest with you, our outreach workers will go walk across the river because they just know their youth over there. But it's not like the youth over there are necessarily over there because they're from Yolo County. Sometimes they're free, so it's, but other than that, we don't go any farther. I would just like to give that disclaimer. Homeless people don't know where the river, where the line is.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Thank you guys.